Did you know that Mexico is actually the United States' second largest trading partner? 839 billion flow in and out of Mexico into the United States every single year, or at least that has been increasing over the last couple of years. So my thoughts on this are really, and that's why I'm sitting here at this beautiful beach, is there are many advantages on why you should be in Mexico. Um, Let's start with a very obvious one. Trump just made a trade deal with China, which doesn't look very beneficiary to the United States, does it? So, do you think with their largest trading partners, they wouldn't be doing the same at some point? If you think about Canada and Mexico, those two are the biggest ones. But then there's others, right, that are maybe significant, but not as much. China is actually only at third or fourth. So if you account for imports and exports. But let's look at Mexico and why it's so advantageous to be here. Access from Chinese companies. So Chinese companies here, if you look on the streets, there are a lot of Chinese cars. BYD is here very strongly. They're actually considering investing here. And there are others who are very, very big and that want to invest here. So if you are a manufacturer of maybe some car parts or some other stuff that you're doing, then it would be very advantageous to actually invest in Mexico, and then you can sell not only to US clients by exporting into the US, but also you can help Chinese companies establish themselves here. So this is number one. Then the second one is a very loyal workforce. So I think the average tenure with a company is about 5 to 7 years higher than it is within the United States. We all know that in the United States, if you get a better job, you usually leave. Here, and I have lived here, there's a little bit of pride to being part of a company for a very long time. People are very loyal, and so it's easier to retain the workforce. The third one, which I think is very interesting, is also yes, there are labor unions in manufacturing, but I think they're way more collaborative than they are within the United States. So, yes, there are strikes, but people want to find some common ground and they want to make sure that everybody survives, right? So it's a little bit less political, and people want to make sure, and the leaders of the union, they want to make sure that the actual manufacturing company survives. My impression is that's not always the case in the United States. So these are the three that I think are very important. And then, of course, you can have maybe as a foreign company who's coming in here a magnificent competitive advantage by coming in here and bringing in new technology that is maybe more advanced already in the United States or in Canada. So if you shift that over within Mexico and sell your product here, that can actually be also a very, very good gateway into the United States. So think about maybe you're an automotive supplier and you're wanting to sell to some of the manufacturing companies. Most of the big ones are already here. So if you have already established business here in Mexico, it creates a lot of trust for you, 10, if you are a logistics supplier or a manufacturer, a tier one supplier, tier two or tier X supplier, to also approach the counterparts in the United States and Canada. Of course, I'm not going to say it's easy. You have to speak the language. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to know legal implications, how everything works. And the work culture in Mexico is a little bit different. But this is just what I think about Mexico. I think it's huge potential. I have lived here for 5 years, and I travel here every year for work, for pleasure. It's a great place to be, and you should definitely think about establishing your presence here, be it with your own company. It depends on what you're doing, but some sort of a presence in Mexico. It's an actual powerhouse, and it's only going to get bigger. Because if you ask me, regionalization is the topic of the next decade. Globalization is going to be a little bit more on the back burner. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions regarding your supply chain procurement, Mexico, Germany, and the United States, go to www.21consulting.xyz and apply for a free consultation. I'm looking forward to talking to you.